Welcome back to Copper Guardians. And last time, I'm so tempted to ask, but I'm going to be nice because I actually listened to the episode. Last time, you guys were.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What? You want to answer?
You don't think I remember what we did last time, John?
Okay. All right, Webby.
Do
Sorry.
you?
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
We had our character intros, so I know I apologize if I do get the names wrong, but Islud was resurrected or / reborn. We got introduced to Caden, who has anger management problems but was sent on to make maps. Ophelia?
Yep.
Good job. You're better
Ophelia.
than I do.
Failure.
Ophelia was sent by her order to go to this meeting. And then I was approached by somebody who gave me a scroll to get in, and it was apparently written in crayon, which I was okay with. And then we all spent the evening in our various areas or housed in that temple if needed be. I stayed outside of Ophelia's door because she wanted me to protect her. And then we ended on an airship. For obvious reasons, I know that one, but...
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Do you know why you're on the airship?
Oh, well, all right. Listen, I don't know everything, John.
Okay.
I think I did pretty good.
You did. You did really well, actually. You did 2 episodes worth, basically. So I'm not going to complain.
I forgot all of it.
So there you go. I also remember that that Webby's character, Zakara, spent a lot of time protecting Ophelia, and was sitting outside her door while she was taking a bath.
I remember Akiko had to constantly step away last session for reasons.
And then it turned into a situation where she didn't step back in when she came back on. So I was busily wandering off. So
Akiko's a little bit of a mystery to me.
Fair enough.
So
to us all. She's not defending herself, so you know. All right. With all that, I will add one other thing, just to back it up, is that you guys were tasked with talking to the head of an order of a temple that is out in, here goes my brain, Veilguard. There we go. I remembered. I'm happy. And so you guys went off to do that. And that was the whole reason why you took the airship, because it's like trying to travel across a major continent is not a 5-minute job. So the airship at least makes it quite a bit easier in that regard. So with all that said and done, and with all the preamble, let us get back to the story, shall we? And I think what we'll do is we'll go straight to a map. Everybody in-game can see this. Now so can the audience. You guys are on an airship. You are with a captain who is a tabaxi. There is a number of other peoples there. I've also put your characters there as well. You may hopefully move them to where you want them. Pardon me. That's just what I needed, is hiccups. If there's any problems, let me know.
You got hiccups. Rob just yawned.
Wow.
We're all falling apart already.
I mean, I'm the one who's supposed to be yawning, not Rob. Or B, for that matter, actually. All right.
Hey, don't bring me into this.
You knew I would. All right. So with all that, yeah, you're on an airship. It is middle of the morning, which is when you guys alighted into the air. The crew has given you your quarters, which are just behind the, like just below deck, and basically close to where the captain's quarters are, just below them, in what are considered to be sort of like more luxurious cabins, I guess, if you want, instead of like a hammock tied to a pole, as some of them would be. But yeah, there are a number of different crewmen around, and the captain is. Did I actually do that? No, I'm sure I did. The captain is a. This is the problem. I can see the map, but it's very tiny, so I can't actually see the characters. There we go. Okay, yes. So that's where the captain is. Oop, and then I just moved him off the map. He is
Captain just jumped overboard.
right there. So, and then this is the Dragonborn we were talking about last time, which, as I said, then was a bit of an oddity for y'all, because Dragonborn are not common by any means. And there are an assembled bunch of different people around. What do you want to do?
Before coming out on deck out of my quarter, are our quarters personal, or are they?
Would you like to see your quarters?
Sure.
Okay.
Sounds like I came prepared.
And there we are.
So which of these lovely spaces are our quarters?
So
then?
if you see the ones to the right on screen here, where all the fancy cabins are, that's your quarters. Ship peoples get the other quarters at the other end, and there's some more below this deck, which are all sort of, as you can see, a lot of them are hammocks, just kind of randomly tied everywhere. So, do you get your own personal one? That would be up to you and how you want to work with this. There is, it looks like, a couple of different ones which are just individual. And then there's at least one with 2 beds in it. And I believe there would be, the other spot would be at the other end. Because with the amount of people, yeah, that end. So those would be the visitor cabins, if I was to put it that way. So you guys can figure out what you want to do. There is also an office should you need to meet on your own.
I'll share with Webby.
Which one? The one.
The one with the 2 separate single beds on the right.
Okay. So on the bottom there.
If that's okay with Webby, of course.
I mean,
Boom.
as long as he fits there, sure.
I don't know how to put myself there, but I agree.
Yeah, you can just, so if you go to where your character is in the list, you can just drag and drop the name onto the screen.
Okay.
There you go. Like so. All right. There you are. Everybody's picked their spot, apparently. Except for Avalos and...
well,
Rob.
I'm going to say I will take this office.
Since you don't actually have to sleep? Is that what you're trying to say?
Wow, thanks for ruining a character thing, John. Absolutely, 100%.
I mean, you said this last time, so okay.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, when we were at the temple, you definitely did. I listened to it earlier today.
What I said is I'm having a problem sleeping. And it doesn't seem to come. You actually read it out loud. You are horrible.
Whatever. Anyway, okay. So
but it doesn't matter. So the reason why this was important to me is before going out on deck, I would do my special ability, and let's just say I feel a little bit more protected.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
I mean, I'll take the opportunity to thank Webby for protecting me again, I guess, inside of the ship. Sakara, should I say?
Cool.
He'll just look at you and sheepishly smile and nod.
What kind of like? Sorry, go on.
He just keeps staring between you and like the door in case somebody knocks at the door.
What kind of like snacks could you or candies could you potentially be carrying in a time period like this?
I mean, you could have. Well, I mean, most like if you're talking just sweets as opposed to chocolate and stuff like that, I mean, sweets were pretty common for quite a long time. So
Like a hard candy. Could you
Yeah,
just have
yeah.
a couple of hard candies?
Yeah.
Could I have a couple of hard candies and like chuck one over to Zakaria and be
sure,
like,
if you
here,
want. Yeah.
there you go, I'll give you a hard candy.
Is that a boiled sweet? Is that how that's described?
Well, I'd say boiled sweet in the UK. Yeah, I said hard candy for the benefit of the Americans.
No, I know, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was called back then too.
Not
Give
really
me
sure if
butter
Zakara would
scotch.
ever have one of these, so he's gonna put it in his mouth and just swallow it.
I'll just do like this weird, like, okay, kind of like glance, like a little bit confused, but you know, whatever floats your boat. Where's Rob sleeping?
I don't know. Probably in the double bed, I'm assuming, or possibly in the one with 2 beds. I don't know.
Yeah, probably on the other end because otherwise I'd have to pass through Avalos' room to get out.
It's
The
true.
door's right here.
It's true.
But he would be up on deck. That's why I didn't bring him down here.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Is there anything y'all want to do before we move on? I know Avalos had said something about you stepping on the deck.
No, I was just going to say that I wanted to proclaim what I did before I stepped on the deck, so I will no longer be down here. I will be up there with
'Kay.
Caden.
All right. I mean, we can switch back to the other map. It's fine. I just wanted to show you what they look like as I went to the bother of getting all this sorted out. So I thought it'd be cool.
Instant gratification.
Yep. All right.
Oh, this is a different
is-
map.
That's the lower deck. Never mind.
There's more rooms.
There is more rooms. It's correct.
Are those jails?
They're cages, yes.
You never know when you might need a cage.
Yeah.
They're useful for so many different things.
It's true. Okay, that's the right one. Yes. No, there's all. These guys are basically merchantmen that take stuff across the continent. So they have. You would kind of know that they carry all sorts of goods. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I mean, you can question what that is, but you'd have to talk to the crew for that.
Don't think I'm interested.
That's fair.
Failure doesn't really care about those things.
Yeah, that's fair and sensible. All right. So, as you guys are wandering around and kind of getting your bearings, the crew try and stay out of your way as much as possible. They're kind of used to having what they would consider to be VIPs aboard, so they're not really bothered. They might shoo you away from something occasionally, but that's about it. But that's only if they're trying to use stuff or they're trying to keep you away from like maybe the big ballistas on the sides. But unless you're actually actively doing any of that, then they're going to leave you alone pretty much. The Dragonborn at the back basically controls most of the steering. And when he is maneuvering things, you see the big jewel that's kind of on that top deck kind of glow and throb. And when it does, all of the various sails kind of do too. You don't really get it from this image, but the sails on this craft are, as I said last time, kind of a gossamer style. They're multicolored, and they kind of magically fade in and out of various array of coloring. And the ship kind of cuts a swath over and above the continent, over some forests as they get closer to the edge of, I don't want to say civilization, but kind of civilization, into a forested area which heads out west. And you guys are on your way, and probably about 4 or 5 hours in by this point if you've settled in.
So, John, I do have a quick
mhm.
question.
Yep.
This Dragonborn, does it look like he's magically steering the ship using the crystal, or is there an actual steering device and the crystal is just what's keeping the ship aloft?
So from what you've kind of gleaned from watching him, I'm not going to make you roll a perception check because I think this is pretty obvious. You get the feeling like what he's doing is kind of steering things, whereas the crystal seems to be more about going up and down.
Okay.
And that seems to be more like the captain's job to kind of maintain that side of it. But other than that, that's kind of what you've noticed over a little period of time.
All right.
I feel like, how long did you say we've been on the ship for, John?
Like 3 or 4 hours. It's like mid-afternoon now.
I guess I'd take the opportunity to go over to Caden and be like, "Hi, I'm Ophelia."
Hi.
I like how Sakara came with me.
He's sitting on the barrel that's over here and looking over the side. He's kind of like he's sketching stuff into a large like sketchbook, and he's got a pen in his mouth. So he's like, what's up?"
What you doing?
He'll pull the pen out and look back at you. I'm sketching rough drafts of maps of the areas we're flying over.
Is that what
Okay.
you're here for? Is that your purpose?
I'll nod. Yeah, I mean, that's basically why I came. I need to update the library's maps of the region, so that's what I'm doing. And he kind of like shows you, like, these are just rough sketches. He's got like a little tree symbol with arrows pointing, like approximate distances, and like a little squiggle that looks kind of like water. It's like, we're going too fast for me to be too detailed. So once we stop, I'll go back and fill in more details, make them better.
I'm gonna be very intrigued and find it really impressive. While I'm like looking through them, and wow, where did you learn to do this?
He kind of shrugs. The only thing I was really good at, that was academic.
That's
Whereas
cool,
the
I
rest
like
of
it.
my family is good at all sorts of stuff.
Very impressive, and it will make you very useful. Until you've maps everywhere, and then you won't be anymore. Well, at least until then.
Wow.
Once I'm finished, I get to go home. So that's all I care about.
Where is home to you? I assume we don't know this yet, right, John? We don't know all of each other's details yet.
Nope.
Yeah. Where
You-
is home to you?
You only met that
I live-
last time.
You don't know where you live?
I'm looking it up. Rob doesn't know.
Rob's a little
Lijiang,
unsure.
the city of Lijiang.
Oh. I don't think I've ever been there unless John has other plans.
As far as I know, you've not been there, no.
Okay. What's it like?
Basically like any other city. You know, big buildings. The streets are made of stone.
You got family?
Yeah, they all work for the library.
Oh, very academic family.
Yeah.
Intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, it's great. he's a very sarcastic tone when he says it's great.
I turn to the side and I like hit the car on the shoulder and I'm like, what about you, big guy? You got family?
Yeah, I have a mother and some sisters back home.
Where's home to you?
Kalixar? Did I pronounce that right?
Yep.
What happens there?
For me personally, or just in general?
You personally.
Between jobs and whatnot, I usually just serve as temple guardians for the various temples in the city.
You seem like the type of person that would be essentially a security.
Yeah, it's a noble job to do, and I'm proud to do it.
Well, you must be good at it. You make me feel secure.
Well, that's good. He just kind of eyeballs this guy over here.
What do you think they're transporting?
I mean, we could ask. Or just go look, I suppose.
What about you, Kaden? You want to know what they're transporting?
Nope. Don't really care.
Mm.
Mm.
I think he hasn't eaten any sandwiches today. Let's go find out. I'm
Oh,
gonna like go over and I'm gonna just sort of, I guess, look at him because I probably wouldn't nudge somebody I don't know, and I'll just be like, "So, what is it you're transporting on this ship?"
who you talking to? The captain?
No, this
No,
dude that
this-
was stood next to you, love.
Oh, okay. The gentleman looks up from his work where he has been mopping the deck and says, "Well, I mean, we have been transporting all sorts of goods. We often take food from like the south and bring it north. We bring minerals and metals across the continent quite often. All of that kind of thing. So often we travel between Kalixar and Lijiang. Sometimes we go south as far as around the sea coast in the very south, which is a little dangerous. But this is probably the first time in a while we've gone this far west. I'm not going to lie.
What are you transporting right now?
Mostly you guys.
Oh,
We are transporting just you guys and some sugar that we received earlier today. Other than that, yeah, we don't have a lot. Sometimes we do have like beasts and slaves that we transport too, and that's kind of always interesting.
what species?
All sorts, whatever the menageries that people are looking for. Nothing
don't
like
agree with that.
super dangerous. You what?
I don't agree with that.
Oh, well. I mean, it's not my call. Captain does it. I get paid.
Okay, thanks. I'm just gonna like, since he mentioned that they transport slaves, I'm just gonna look extremely disappointed and just walk away. Just completely disgruntled with that conversation and unimpressed.
That's fair.
Since everybody else is so intensely focused on whatever they're doing on their own in the ship, I'm gonna go and introduce myself to Avalos, I guess. So I'll go. What's Avalos called again?
Islu.
Islud. As you
Islud.
approach, even though you would say it's afternoon, right, John?
Yep.
So as you're approaching, you will see three. They look like dark, black, violet lights that are just kind of floating around, like lighting him, holding his shoulders, just looking out across the land as it flies by, kind of just looking aimlessly. So that's as you approach, and feel free at that point.
Can I just awkwardly tap you on the shoulder, like kind of nervous about you? You reach over and just like on the shoulder.
He flinches, and then one of the lights like whirls around, and it's like in your face because it's magic.
I'm just gonna be like shocked by that, I guess, like concerned, like jump back
sorry.
a bit.
They won't hurt you. Just something to concentrate on. I've never been on an airship. Never been in the
No,
air.
you nervous?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Maybe it's that impending feeling that at any moment someone could grab you and throw you overboard.
Could be.
Where do
I
you
will
come
do my
from?
best to not let that happen.
Somewhere in the multiverse, Brenna cringes.
I don't
Thrown
remember
over
where
on a airship. Many.
You just say you don't remember where you come from?
I don't remember many things. I was dead, remember? Brought back.
I see dying and coming back. It sort of like makes you remember like a sieve, right?
It's
Everything just sort of falls out.
kind of. I mean, I remember fragments. I assume I had parents. I obviously had to learn how to use magic some way. There's pretty simple logic here, but
Do you remember anything about your life?
I remember a feeling of betrayal, and and as he says that, the cut across his neck burns, and he reaches for it. That's all I can really remember.
Feeling of betrayal. Did you eat something spicy the night before?
I couldn't tell you, but I guess that would do that.
Zakara just looks kind of sad. I'm sorry that you feel that, and that you don't remember your previous life.
Well,
Could you? Is it a previous life? Because it's not really a current life, is it? What do you call what you're in right now? I wouldn't say it's life, would it?
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Literally Walking Dead right now.
Reborn. There is. I remember reading a book below deck. There is magic that brings things back from the dead, but they are not as I am.
Perhaps you would benefit from meeting somebody else in your situation.
Maybe, but I doubt many can say that they were brought back by a very threatening goddess of death that basically said I was on her borrowed time and at her will.
Is
So
true.
can you die again?
There was no guide to that. I'm gonna assume a yes.
She didn't give you an instruction manual, right?
No, she did not.
Okay. Right. Well, I'm just
you-
trying to piece the puzzle together, I guess, and paint a picture of why each of us are useful together. Because clearly they put us together for a reason, right?
Agreed. So, and no insult meant when I ask, what was it you bring? Why are you here?
I have truly no idea.
On that we can agree.
Perhaps I'm resourceful. Or I just don't have any ties, so if I die, it doesn't matter.
Judging by the number of people and importance, I don't believe that. I feel like you probably are connected in ways that we don't know. As much of the world, he puts his hand out, much of worlds and magic and planes and all of that. That I remember. I know how to use my magic very easily, but who knows?
For your own reference, Ophelia is going to feel visibly uncomfortable at you suggesting that she maybe has more connections than she's willing to admit to.
Oh, well, what is my perception? Ooh. He'll take note of it, but not draw attention to it. But then again, who am I? I've been alive for less than 24 hours.
I just can you use that word, alive?
I'm not in,
Do you if someone if in certain moments can people put their hand through you like a ghost?
I mean, we haven't tried.
Zakara will slowly press his hand into Islud's chest.
There's very
That's
much
very-
a physical person there.
That's a very large.
I'll just look really disappointed at that. Ophelia is very disappointed. She wishes that your hand had gone straight through.
Sakara and Ophelia, can you roll perception checks, please, for me?
Yes.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, Ophelia, yes. Okay, so Ophelia, as you've been sort of studying Islud, you note that while everything looks normal, if I can call this normal, you do notice what almost like that he's been kind of patched together. It's not like there's stitches or zippers or something silly like that, or nuts and bolts and things. It's just an impression of slight offness about him. It's not, like I said, it's not like it's an obvious thing, but because of your perception, it's something you've noticed, like a bit of a color change where maybe it shouldn't be happening. You know, a patch here or a patch there, which just doesn't look quite the same. But it's nothing, like I said, nothing super obvious or anything. Like normally, if you just look at his loot, it looks completely normal, with the exception of the big scar.
I'll just make a You know, like an obvious sort of gaze, like when you look at somebody and you are looking around them, and you can that person sort of gets a vibe that you might be noticing something about them.
Is
But
there...
I'll promptly look back up at your eyes so that an attempt for you to not realize that I've noticed.
I mean,
Okay. You go ahead, John. You were talking.
oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, if you wanted to, you could see if whether or not you noticed, but that's up to you because we could always do passive perception. But I think the perception checks you rolled are probably pretty difficult. I would assume.
Would
I mean,
would
you
it
could
be
you could try
would
to
it
do
be
a perception
perception?
check, yeah, if you want, or an
Would it-
insight check.
I mean, I'll do insight for fun, just because perception to perception doesn't make any sense.
No, it's
to
true.
me.
That's kind of why I was like, insight would probably make more sense. Yeah, I mean, you noticed that she studied you intently.
At the prior comment, noticing the recoil, he won't actually say anything, but it's kind of like a mental note is taken.
I will say you've sort of noticed this as well when looking kind of at your arms and stuff. It's like I say, it's not like you see stitches or scars or anything like that, but you do notice that some things are a little different than they would have been previously, at least from what your foggy memory gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway,
Well, nice to meet you.
likewise. Judging, what is Ophelia wearing? Is it like does she have her shield with her, or is she armed? Does she have any armaments like that are visible, or is it just like nice dress wear?
I think Ophelia would be the type of person that would keep things very well concealed.
Would okay. Thank you. So what do you? Can you do magic? Are you a fighter? Do you wield weapons very well?
Are you asking me in character or out of character?
In character. Sorry, I feel I can read the card.
I'm just gonna be like, I guess you'll have to wait and see.
That is very fair. It is nice to meet you.
Yes, you too. And as I walk away, I'm just gonna say to Zakara, yeah, he's creepy.
For Islud's sake, Zakara seems completely unfazed by any type of different appearance you may have. And as Ophelia walks away and Zakara goes to leave, he'll give you like a small, like, not just like a head nod, but like kind of like one of those. He'll lower his head and like just like a slight bow. And he'll just say,
Oh, God.
"It'll be a pleasure working side by side with you, I'm sure."
I look forward to it.
And then he'll follow Ophelia.
I guess just uncomfy because I don't fully understand the way that someone dies and then comes back fully, and it's kind of creeps me out. And obviously, if I'm noticing the like faint patchwork, I'm a little bit nervous about him, I guess.
You can try and do a religion check if you'd like to actually figure out whether you've heard of something like this before.
Yeah, let's do it. Here we go. Probably,
While Ophelia's in thought,
Mm-hmm.
Zakara is going to kind of like lean down and whisper and point. Oh, I am bad with names. At Akiko,
Mm-hmm.
and be like, "What about them? Are you going to introduce yourself as well?"
Do you think I should?
Well,
Are you
it's-
enjoying this as an opportunity to be introduced by me to other people without having to do it yourself?
No,
Mm-hmm.
but they're literally the last person who was at the meeting who is now on the airship.
Let's go. Let's go see what they're all about.
Okay, do you want to do your religion check before that, though? Oh, you did.
I
Okay.
did it.
Never mind.
I'm useless. I know nothing.
Well, you know that people have been brought back from the dead because it's happened enough that you would have heard about it. But you've never heard of a situation where somebody's been brought back in this manner, and certainly not one where it was a bunch of clerics from every different religion to do it. But like, yeah, I mean, you know that people can be brought back from the dead if it's not been too long since they died. So you start to question how long it must have been in this case.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, as we approach Akika, I'm gonna say to Zakara, what's this person's name again?
I believe it's Akiko.
And I turn to Akika and I'm like, Akika, right?
Yeah.
What brings you here? Where are you from?
Um.
Sorry,
I'm actually
putting
from...
everybody on the spot.
Yeah. I had it up a second ago. I'm actually from a small area near Kalixar.
What's your special gift? What makes you a good part of this team they've formed?
I'd like to think I'm a decent fighter.
I see. Perhaps your skill set is a little more subtle until you utilize it.
I suppose.
Whereas if you look at somebody like, and I point at Zakara like that, I feel like it's fairly obvious. You know, you're not gonna mess with somebody like big as that, right?
Yeah.
What do you think's happening, really? Where do you think we're even going? Like, what do you know so far? Because to be honest, I've not really properly listened.
Honestly, I know about as much as anyone else here.
So Ophelia obviously is paying attention to the things that she's being told, but she's trying to seem slightly unaware in an attempt to see if anybody else knows more than she does, you know? But she's getting an immediate vibe from you that from most people, to be fair, that most of you people are very individual and independent and don't want to talk to other people. So I'll just be like, I'll just nudge Takara and be like, I'm dying here, help.
Zakara will kind of smirk a little bit. Well, Akiko, it will be a pleasure fighting by your side if it comes to that. You said you feel like you're pretty good at holding your own. Have you ever considered trying to fight in the arenas?
I don't believe that would be my setting.
What is your setting?
I prefer more to protect others.
So you fight out of necessity, not for fame or glory.
Yeah.
Good to know. Maybe I won't be in if somebody attacks me. I've got multiple people here who are going to step up, I guess. Not that I think anybody will need to. I think Zakara will deal with it pretty quickly.
Well, if we all are going to be working together, I would like to think that we will all be protecting one another at some point.
Perhaps. Nice to meet you, Akiko.
And you as well.
I am just gonna walk off.
He will give Akiko a small bow and wander off as well.
John?
I like the tour. It's fun for me. All right.
Well, I thought it would help progress your story.
It's good. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I like it. It's good. Good interaction. I'm appreciating it. It's fun. Just sort of. I just like the fact that Zakar is like the one who's like nods, bows formally. You know.
Major Domo Zakara.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm just pressing people for information.
I
A
mean,
reference that Webby will know. Webby, you're the morose of this situation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
I'm clued out on that particular reference, unfortunately, so that didn't help.
I'll tell you during the break.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
gonna say I'm gonna need to know that because I have no idea.
So, okay. All right. Is there anywhere else you wanted to go before we?
I'm just gonna be doing like I'm just gonna giggle at a fish not a fish or something I see, a bird I guess, or in the sky, right? A cloud,
Yeah.
I don't know, something funny, and I'm gonna giggle and point at it so that Zakara can see it. I'm just being cute and pleasant.
This is so opposite
He'll-
your other
he'll
character.
smile.
I'm just not sure.
I know, yeah. My character in the other D&D campaign is like literally the complete opposite.
hmm
I'm being sweet.
I know. Yeah, that's fair. Can you both do a perception check for me if you're standing, and if anybody else is looking in the clouds or up in the sky, just kind of staring off into space? Let me know. 'Cause
We
you
are
can-
all literally on the edges of the ship. So
Yeah.
Opposite sides.
So have a look around, I guess. Do some perceptioning.
the perception.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Cool. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I like that. We get a nat
Luke
20 and a
knows
nat 1,
nothing.
right? One after the other.
Webby, it's Tyrus all over again.
No, I feel you. It's the roll 20 curse. It's what it is.
All right. Kiko. Sorry, Kiku. Nat 20. It's hard not to reward that. You are staring off at the sky. I don't know whether you're just kind of dazedly staring or actually like trying to see anything. Either way, you get a view of something bird-like in the distance, like probably a good probably about 30 or 40 miles away. You just see wings and what looks to be something. You get a hint of feathers, I guess, and then it disappears into the clouds again.
Well, she's gonna keep kind of watching in that direction because now she's curious.
Okay. You again will notice briefly what looks to be a bird. He kind of come out of the clouds and then just kind of zip back in. And again, because of the nat 20, you do notice it looks like there's something riding the bird.
Does it look like they're kind of following the same course we are?
You kind of get the impression that they're at least heading the same direction, I guess, but at a distance, like not that close. And maybe even slightly veering away, but it's hard to tell from that length of distance. I guess I shouldn't say 30, 40. It should be more like maybe 10 miles away. I think I'm being far too distant. Because otherwise I don't think you'd be able to see feathers.
All right.
I don't think you'd be able to see it 10 miles away.
You can if you can see some distinctions, but yes, a bird normally you would not see distinctions. You might not even see the bird at that far away.
Is Akiko the only one of us that sees anything?
Yeah, considering the rest of you rolled a 1, a 10, a 13, and a 6. Yep.
I'm just gonna point at like funny looking clouds then and laugh and giggle at them, and I'm pointing at them so that Zakara can see them too.
Okay.
I'm just smiling in like that childlike sense of awe almost. Like, you can tell, like, I don't get a chance to just look up at clouds often, so it's something that I am enjoying.
Mm. To be fair, you're looking up at some, but there are some at your level. The ship is flying fairly high.
I will say to Zakara, without really thinking what I was saying first, something along the lines of, it's been a long time since I got to point out funny clouds to somebody and giggle together.
Who was the last person, if I may ask?
I'm just going to say it's complicated.
Understandable.
And then she looks visibly sad. And then, rather than continuing, she decides to just turn around and sit down, you know, like facing inwards to the ship.
So, okay, while you're doing that, Rob, a Kenku comes up to you and kind of looks at you, and kind of its head sort of does that bird thing where their heads kind of move really fast, kind of like that sort of thing, and kind of stares at what you're doing. Says, "Map. Good.
Yeah.
Draw.
Yes.
Yes. Good draw, yes.
Thank you.
It kind of beak opens and closes a little bit, and finally goes, Grey Gun draw good too. And you kind of get the hint that as the words are coming out, they're kind of coming out with slightly different reflections and inflections of how this word is being used, almost like it's been taken from other people, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this Kenku, just for reference?
Yes. This is a Kenku, which is a bird person.
Yeah, I know what a Kenku.
I know. Audience. I'm saying it for their purpose
right.
as well.
I didn't, so eyes helpful.
They look like a bird if the bird was a person, effectively. They're black, feathered.
I see.
He's gonna say. He's gonna kind of like half sigh, and he's only like half listening as he's looking over and drawing more. Says, oh yeah, what do you draw?
And the Kenku looks at you and opens its mouth in what it thinks is a smile, and then grabs out a tube that it's kind of got strapped to its back, and pops the lid and lays it out, and you can see that it draws these massive scenery pictures, basically, of what look to be kind of panoramic landscapes from height. So almost as if they've been drawing or painting when flying.
Mm-hmm.
I paint. Gorgon paint.
So Caden will glance at them for a moment and then turn back to his map making and go, oh, so you're an artist. It's a little different from what I do. Mine's not really art, it's more for function. But those look very nice.
Thank you. I like your map too. Very colorful.
He'll smile, but he'll he'll like gesture at the page, and he's like, "Well, this is just basically notes for making maps later." He'll rummage through the book and he'll pull out one that he actually did back in the city that's completed, and he'll show him out or like hand it to him. It's like, "Don't lose this, but this is what my maps usually look like when they're finished."
The Gorgon takes it from you. You see very gently feathered wings grab onto it, studies it for a bit, and where's the area you did?
It would have been the city we just left,
Okay.
Kalixar.
Okay. And he points at like one of the larger buildings. It says, "Roof building bronze looks different from sky."
Ikaden will kind of sigh again. Yeah. Well, I don't usually get to see the maps I draw from the sky. This is rare for me. Normally, I'm on the ground.
I like sky. It is very homey.
I won't disagree with you, but I mean, it's definitely faster for making maps. I'll say that much for it.
And they nod at you. And Gorgon notice many things from the sky that cannot be seen on ground.
I'm sure. Different perspectives show you different things.
He nods and says, "I'm sure." And kind of as if he's trying it on for size. Perspectives. And he says it very similar to you. And he nods again. "I have a lot of perspective from this height. Gorgon gets lots of good views of mountains and forests."
Right.
And he kind of grabs your arm and
Oh boy.
takes you over to the edge and kind of points down. And he says, "Map do rivers wrong." And he points to rivers as you're passing them and kind of how the look of them on maps can be a little too straight or a little too wavy, and how there's kind of like little bumps and islands and rapids and things. And he's like, "When I paint, I grab all of this as part of it. Maps, not as clear. That's why I draw."
Well, you see, the thing is, maps don't need to be that detailed. Like when you're drawing something for art purposes, like you do, yeah, you want to get all those bumps and islands. But when you're traveling, all you really need to know is where the river is so you can avoid it and know where the crossings are. You don't need to know every little island or swirl or turn.
That makes sense.
Function over aesthetic.
Speed can be good, can be useful. Of course, can make you a target, depending on the speed and where you're going. And
True.
he says, "I must go back to work, but it was very good to talk to you."
Sure.
And he flaps his beak again and then kind of rolls up his paintings into his tube, puts them back on his back, and nods and goes back over to the one of the ballistas, where he is working feverishly to check and make sure everything is working properly. And the captain comes down and walks. I guess I should have a look at the map and see who's closest to him at this point. Oh, that'd be the wrong map. There we go. So yeah, coming out of there, he's probably gonna walk over to Zakara, I guess. I mean, it's literally a split as to whether it be you or Caden he'd be running towards first. And says, "We are making good time so far. Your party is settled in?"
Zakara will just nod. As the captain approaches, Zakara does tense up a little bit, but that's just how he is.
Fair enough. My instructions were to drop you off at Veilguard, but we're hoping to detour around some problems that have come about near the Dragon's Teeth to the east. So we will be making a southerly route, but we should get there in 4 or 5 days at the most.
Well, it's your ship. We are at your will, I do suppose.
He nods and says, "And you are our passengers and we're getting paid. So if there's anything you need, if there's any problems, let me know. I'll make sure to make it as comfortable as possible."
Make it what?
Comfortable.
Oh.
Sorry,
Sorry,
are my
comfortable.
teeth getting in the way for you?
I think it's the weird Scottish accent, actually, but
I affected the Dwarven accent to make people feel more at home.
is that what it does? Because I'm just thinking, wow, this man spits a lot at me.
He nods and says, "In my line of work, it has been valuable."
What line of work would that be?
Ah, well, lass, we were once pirates.
Yeah, I can see that.
Before going straight, as it were.
It's the worst thing you ever did as a pirate.
What's the worst thing we ever did? I mean, it's going back a ways, but there was, I wouldn't say a betrayal, but one of our fellows decided to go in with another group and tried to run us out of a territory we weren't prepared to be run out of. So,
You got rid of him?
well, not just him, but yes. We made sure that he and his ship were no longer airborne, shall we say.
Interesting. And we can trust you?
I mean, as long as I'm paid for it, yeah, of course.
What kind of people have they put us on a ship with?
The right kind of people that are prepared to keep you alive because we've been given 10,000 gold. You won't get a lot of problems when people are willing to pay that well. And the hungry Goliath is at your service. Plus, of course, having such holy people as yourselves. We are respectful of the gods here. And he pulls out 4 chains of like 4 different deities, plus a little prayer scroll, and you kind of tell he worships everybody equally, kind of idea.
Ophelia puts her hands together, nods her head, and says, Gesundheit.
He nods solemnly at that and says, "For me, I typically rely on Lou for a lot of things because her whimsy can bite us in the took us more than once.
Shouldn't you be flying the ship and talking less?
Ah, I don't always fly the ship, you see. And he points back at the Dragonborn. Says he takes the tiller for a lot of it, but we have others, and he waves to the rest of the crew, who take their turn as well.
Right.
Otherwise, how would we... Goodbye. He stands there, kind of thinks about continuing, decides it isn't worth it, and turns on
Captain,
his heel.
I do have a quick question for you.
He turns back around, looks at you, and says, "What can I do
I look
for
up
you?"
at Zakara with curiosity because I'm still
What-
sat on the floor.
What kind of hazards, if any, or threats might we run into this far in the sky?
Well, usually not too many, but you never know. There might be a loose dragon hanging around, or there could be a problematic group of enemies who are looking to take us out of the sky, you know, try to raid us, pillage us, take all of our loot, capture you all as high value targets, that kind of thing. Typically.
And what would you do if one of these other opposing people who might want to take us from you simply offered you more gold than what you're being paid to transport us?
I haven't met anyone in this line of work that's going to offer us more money. Typically, they're more
Yet.
interested in taking it. Why would they do that? It's easier for them to just take our ship down and steal it from us.
Merely just trying to gauge your character is all.
I'm well concerned about my own health, and that's my first priority. But the next priority is the welfare of whatever I'm taking. So as we transport across the continent and go into these wilder areas, I'm cautious. Not everybody gives a crap about the money. Sometimes they just like to eat you.
Kara will
Goodbye.
then just nod. Yeah.
He nods and turns on his heel again and wanders back up to the deck. You see him walk over to a ballista beside you there for a bit, test it briefly, reloads it, and wanders back up the deck.
I'm gonna turn to Zakara because he whispered something to me earlier that no one else knows, and thank him for what he said.
He'll just nod and do that thing where he just kind of like lowers his head and almost a bow.
I'll pat the top of his head.
He'll let out a soft chuckle at that.
All right.
I'll sit back on the floor again.
All right. Okay. As your travels continue, at about the time when you guys would have dinner, one of the mess hall people comes up the stairs and says, "Right, VIPs, we have food for you downstairs. If you'd like to go into the hold, we have it set up. If there's anything that you would like that we do not have, there's not much I can do about it, but if there's any specific needs that we don't have offered at the moment, we can certainly try our best to get them met. We do have both vegetarian and non-vegetarian options."
What's a vegetarian?
Some of the druidic community are not fond of eating animals, so we have food for them as well.
How thoughtful.
I mean, it doesn't do us any good if we have a bunch of pissed off people get to their destination and leave us dragged through the mud.
Does
You
that
could
happen
have
often? Just
reviews
'cause
on
of
Yelp.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, leave you bad Yelp reviews.
Yeah,
What's going on?
effectively,
here?
yeah. He says it doesn't
This
happen.
Uber was a drag, 1 star.
Yeah, exactly. Food was actually
Like,
quite terrible.
the staff talk to us too much.
I've had better food on the other, airships. This one was trash. Yeah, no, he just says often no, but then largely we don't have people on board. But it always serves to be cognizant of people who have authority that might actually, spread their opinions about.
Good to know. Let's see.
And he leads you down into the bottom of the ship where they have some tables set up. It's all kind of a crude affair, but nothing particularly offensive about it. And they do offer you a fairly good feast for ship travel. It isn't going to be, like Michelin star dining, shall we say, but, it'll get you through. And after that, they kind of leave you alone after setting the food up and kind of wandering away to let you figure out what you're doing.
Does everybody go down for food?
No, at the moment.
Zakara is making a note.
Oh, out of your group, I don't know, but out of the crew, none of them come down.
Oh, yeah. I'm wondering about the VIP guests. Which ones come down for food?
Well, they'd have
The
to
dead
tell you.
one's not going to need any food, is he?
Actually, he follows.
No. Plot twist.
He's not dead, he's reborn. Totally.
Yeah, but
not a
Ophelia
zombie.
doesn't care.
Yeah. I don't know about Caden and Kiku.
Caden would hurriedly sketch what's coming up ahead and then go head down for food.
Fair enough.
Would follow as well.
Okay. So all of you are down there.
I'll sit with Zakaram.
I'm unsurprised. Like I said, food is good. You have been given time to yourselves. There's nobody in this room with you.
All right, John, what do we have for food down here? What'd they make?
Well, I would kind of say they have a couple of different options. One would be sort of like a I don't want to say beef jerky, but that kind of thing where it's a bit harder meat that's going to last a bit longer for this kind of travel. And then they have fresh fruit of various types. And then they have salad and potato type things, fantasy potatoes, whatever those would be. Or rice as an option, as well as a custard dessert.
So, the meats are all meats that would be
Stuff
preserved to be able to keep for travel. It's nothing freshly cooked.
No, nothing like that. They're typically traveling for days on end, and so the concern is that they don't want it to go bad because they all have to eat it too. So they don't generally get fancy steak or chicken or that kind of stuff.
I'm just gonna look around at everybody else at the table and say, wow, it really wouldn't have taken them much space to at least bring some chickens or something aboard.
Try the plants.
Zakara will grab a piece of fruit and some salted jerky or hardtack, because he would want some sort of meat, but
Fair enough. So you munch away on that. Like I said, it's rudimentary but edible. There's nothing particularly offensive or moldy or bad tasting, as long as you're okay with slightly salted meat, or largely what amounts to a lot of fruit with citrus. You're pretty okay.
Ophelia just eats a piece of fruit and then expresses that she's tired.
Caden will eat some, like a mix of stuff, and then he'll point at Islud with a piece of meat and say, with his mouth full, "So what's your deal?"
And what do you mean? As he's eating some rice.
Well, I mean, there's like billions of people who died throughout history. Why are you so special that they brought you back?
I couldn't tell you. Because I don't even know.
Well, this is going to be a fun trip then, isn't it?
Can I hear this conversation, John?
I mean,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
sitting
assuming
around a
we're just
table.
sitting at a
so
table.
We're all
yeah.
sitting at a table, yeah.
Okay, good. Just okay. Sorry. Jeez.
It's
Don't
insane.
don't
what a
imagine this
stupid
is.
question.
Well, I guess what I would say is don't imagine this as a cafeteria. Imagine it more like a family table that's very big.
Yeah, I was gonna say our party is having a
Have
family
you ever
dinner
seen
right
Downton
now.
Abbey and things like that? The tables,
this
they
is
still
not
reach
Downton
over and
Abbey.
whisper to each other.
Yeah, well, if you look at most naval ships, unless you're on an aircraft carrier, their eating areas are comfy, shall we say?
Yes, I will definitely look back at my experience of being on a naval ship.
Well, I mean, I've been on none as well, but I've watched a few YouTube videos. How about that?
Well, in response to what Caden said to him, he will turn and what is your deal? Why were you chosen to embark on this?
Well, I volunteered so I could make my maps. Points to his sketchbook.
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna look at Zakara and be like, he's talking about the maps again.
Can you, not that there will be, but in my experience, there usually tend to be some sort of unsavory people that need to be dealt with one way or the other. But can you hold your own in a fight, Caden?
I can more than hold my own.
And he hits them in the head with a map case. Good old
I
sketchbook
meant
to the.
no offense. I'm merely asking.
I'm not offended. I'm just answering your question.
Oh.
Look, I made it through the entire peninsula on my own. I just figured it would be easier to travel with a group of people. But I'm not helpless. I can defend myself.
And are you two affiliated with some fashion of holy deity?
He'll hesitate for a moment, and then he'll say, "My order, we worship Leuni, the golden dragon."
Does that mean anything to you, Zakara?
I have respect for all of the deities. I mean, depending on who you ask, some believe that my kind were created by them. I know I've spent a good chunk of time protecting various temples, and I guess I was just curious what common ties we all had that brought us here. Still trying to figure that out.
I don't think, like, if any of you have heard of Leonie, I don't think she's normally called the Golden Dragon, right, John? That's not
It's
a
true.
normal
No,
depiction of her. Yeah.
correct. It's known, but only from the perspective of a few people. It isn't like everybody goes, "Oh yeah, that's totally her."
Zakara also, again, just kind of seems unfazed, and it's not less that it's less that it's not that he doesn't care. or doesn't acknowledge that you referenced them as a gold dragon. It's like he is constantly making mental notes of things.
And seemingly trying not to offend anyone.
Yes.
Right.
Have you?
So, anything else? Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Because he mentioned knowing many of the deities and being a guard. So do you know more about the woman with the tri-gem choker who brought me back? I assume she is a goddess or a deity, or at least know her name.
I'm not very educated, I guess, in that particular field. I just have a mutual respect for them all. But yeah, I'm by no means a scholar. Just I have respect for them. So I couldn't tell you specifically really anything that you probably don't already know or that others don't know more about regarding that particular individual. And for that, I do apologize.
Ophelia,
No,
could you do me a religion check, please?
Yep. A failure. But it's
failure.
fine. I'll let you off.
Could I do one as well, since
Sure.
library knowledge? Well, not much better.
Okay, never mind. So you're not sure what Islu just talking about either, so...
and as those complete, he just kind of nods. That's fair. I just kind of wanted to know who I'm involved with, and unwillingly.
If it will help, wherever we do end up going, if they do have temples to that particular goddess, I might be able to at least help you get in if there happens to be a problem. A lot of people tend to just let my kind into places. I'm not exactly sure why.
And I know it's because you're terrifying and huge.
He just kind of smiled.
She's not incorrect. You are the tallest of us. And intimidating.
Well, don't let me intimidate any of you.
I don't think you could intimidate me.
That's good. That's not my intention here. But I will do my best to keep each and every one of you safe, even those of you who can handle yourselves in a fight. He'll kind of glance at Caden. And then he'll take another bite of his apple.
Right. Okay.
Would we be retiring to our, like, what time of day is it? Would we
right
be
now,
going to sleep after this?
I mean, it's probably 6, 7 o'clock at night, so, I mean, you don't have to, but you could retire to your rooms. You have zero responsibilities on this ship, so you can kind of do what you want.
The only thing Zakara would kind of do is he would gauge the conversation and the dinner that we're all having together, and before everybody went their own separate ways, he would attempt to just kind of shove like an apple on either side of his mouth, like in his cheeks, and just slowly look at everybody.
Nice.
A failure will giggle.
You just get a look and a smirk from Islu.
Aiden rolls his eyes, but you can't tell because his eyes are completely white.
Oh yeah, Zakara has that same problem, but mine are gold.
Nice. If you'd like to subscribe to our channel, please do so here. If you would like to see what we've done in the past, please check it out up here. And if you'd like to check out all of our content, you can do so at distractionsmedia.com.